It was kind of like a Walmart greeter.
It was not like a Walmart greeter. A Walmart greeter is like a senior citizen who's collecting some extra cash on top of Social Security. You guys beat the shit out of cops. What are you talking about? I'm Tommy Vietor, and today we're getting red-pilled by January 6th conspiracy theories.
Take the red pill.
What do they say in like real hearings? I call into session this version of red-pilled. Okay, here's a little refresher. Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, but he refused to concede, and he pursued every avenue possible to try to overturn the results, including alleging fraud and claiming it was stolen from him. That culminated in the January 6, 2021 Stop the Steal rally, where he spoke to a group of really fired up right-wing MAGA folks and told them they needed to take action to prevent the election from being stolen from him. Those folks then marched to the Capitol, they beat the shit out of cops, they stormed into Congress, they defecated in the halls, and they basically trashed the place. Now, after a long investigation, the January 6th bipartisan committee is holding hearings about what they have learned over the past several months. So we thought we would go back and sample some of the greatest hits of arguments Republicans have used to try to deflect blame from Donald Trump for what happened on January 6th.
Ryan flew with friends on a private plane to the Stop the Steal rally in D.C. before going back to her hotel. But while watching news coverage, she decided to go back and posted a video saying she was going to storm the Capitol.
This is so funny because one of the things you always hear from the conventional wisdom from the pundits, it was like the big conversation coming out of the 2016 election was how economic anxiety led people to do things that were against their interests. This woman flew on a private plane. Just want to make sure everyone caught that.
So I was just like, we're storming the Capitol. And I meant we're storming with our words and we're going down there to tell them, it's free speech.
You can't really storm with words. This sounds like a kid lying to their parents. Like, I thought you said it was 11 p.m. curfew. I didn't know you said 10. Like, come on.
You know what? We are armed and dangerous. This is the beginning.
Did she say, we are armed, we are dangerous? This is just the beginning? What, were we armed with adjectives? What were we armed with? 5 seconds ago, we were metaphorically storming the Capitol.
Ryan posted videos while following thousands inside the Capitol.
I wish that had not been open, but a police officer was standing next to me. We kind of, it was kind of like a Walmart greeter.
It was not like a Walmart greeter. A Walmart greeter is like a senior citizen who's collecting some extra cash on top of Social Security. You guys beat the shit out of cops. The fuck are you talking about?
What should be the punishment then for the people involved?
I think that a ticket, I'll do it, I'll do my time, move on with my life.
That is some shit. You can't kick down the door of the Capitol, beat up cops, defecate in Nancy Pelosi's office, and be like, slap on the wrist? Like, it doesn't work that way.
And as far as remorse, I have a problem with remorse because it's like a thought crime.
Scaling the walls of the Capitol is not a thought crime. That's a crime. Your remorse should be for the crime.
You wrote, sorry, I have blonde hair, white skin, a great job, a great future, and I'm not going to jail.
Sorry, haters.
This is the least sorry person I've ever seen in my life. Sorry I have blonde hair, white skin, a great job, a great future, and I'm not going to jail. Why do we do this show? Next.
I'm Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle from a chaotic Washington tonight. Earlier today,
people don't talk about the fact that Ingraham Angle, it's not a good name. It's not a rhyme, it's like a slant rhyme, but not really, it's just lazy. That's the best you could do, Ingraham Angle.
the Capitol was under siege by people who can only be described as antithetical to the MAGA movement.
Antithetical to the MAGA movement. We're watching dudes in Make America Great Again hats kick down a door and break a window. That seems pretty... What's the opposite of antithetical? Thetical? Is that a word? Thetical.
Indicative, encompassing.
Laid down, absolute, or positive by law? Whatever. This lady's wrong. They're very much indicative of the MAGA movement.
Now, there were likely not all Trump supporters, and there are some reports that Antifa sympathizers may have been sprinkled throughout the crowd. Well,
now, this was the most predictable, obvious spin. It was clear from the minute this riot started that these Republicans were going to try to blame this on Antifa. Completely predictable. However, we've also since learned that Jason Miller, spokesman for Donald Trump, was suggesting this lie based on no facts in text to Mark Meadows. So now we know exactly where this nonsense came from.
we'll have more on that later. But the point remains, If you were a Trump supporter hoping to display your support for the president, well, today's antics at the Capitol did just the opposite.
Okay, the ending was fine. We know that the ending there matches the text that she was sending privately to Mark Meadows. She said, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But she can't just say that. She has to blame it on Antifa first, because the Ingraham angle is all about being a hack. Mark Meadows is the former White House chief of staff. He was a member of Congress for a long time, right-wing Freedom Caucus guy. We have his texts because they were subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. And Mark did something very innovative, which was he decided to hand over all of his text messages, then obstruct justice. Mark has become a huge problem for everyone in the Trump orbit because he just handed over documents and then decided to clam up. Next clip, please.
As one of the members who stayed in the Capitol and on the House floor, who, with other Republican colleagues, helped barricade the door until almost 3 p.m. that day from the mob who tried to enter, I can tell you the House floor was never breached, and it was not an insurrection.
A woman climbed through a window and was shot. People were beating down the door of the Senate chamber. What?
This is the truth. There was an undisciplined mob. There were some rioters and some who committed acts of vandalism. But let me be clear. There was no insurrection, and to call it an insurrection, in my opinion, is a bold-faced lie. Watching the TV footage of those who entered the Capitol and walked through Statuary Hall showed people in an orderly fashion staying between the stanchions and ropes taking videos and pictures. You know, if you didn't know the TV footage was a video from January the 6th, you would actually think it was a normal tourist visit.
Yeah, normal tourist visit with Confederate flags and handcuffs, people with knives, full face masks on, Proud Boy gear everywhere, just your standard tourist visit where you kick down the door of the Smithsonian or whatever, and then you go on your little tour. That's how it works.
What were you doing on January 6th when all of this was going down?
So I was sitting on my couch watching the proceedings, and I lost my mind, and I tweeted like a crazy person every 15 seconds because I just literally couldn't believe what I was watching. Literally could not believe that these MAGA lunatics had been incited to the point where they were beating the shit out of cops, pushing back barriers, storming into the Capitol. A woman was shot. I mean, it was a truly, truly horrifying, like, scarring day.
Strangely, some of the key people who participated on January 6th have not been charged. Look at the documents. The government calls those people unindicted co-conspirators. What does that mean? Well, it means that in potentially every single case, they were FBI operatives. Really? In the Capitol?
This is why you got to listen closely to Tucker. That means potentially in every single case they were FBI, right? He's not saying they were. He's just asking questions. It's just potential. There just could be this vast conspiracy theory. He's not saying there is necessarily. There could be. Later he says there is.
The government knows who they are, but the government has not charged them. Why is that? You know why. They were almost certainly working for the FBI. So FBI operatives were organizing the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, according to government documents.
Tucker is arguing that the attack on the Capitol was a false flag operation, that somehow the government did this. This theory was cooked up by a guy named Darren, Beattie, who was a former Trump speechwriter who got fired for appearing on a panel with a bunch of white nationalists. I believe that's just called going to CPAC these days, but it got him fired at the time. And the problem with this theory is that it is bullshit. There's this conspiracy theory where someone went through every minute of footage and they tried to decide, okay, at this moment, this individual incited everyone to attack the Capitol, right? And so they found this moment where Ray Epps goes up to a guy named Ryan Samsel, whispers something to him, and then Samsel like attacks the barricades. Again, the problem with this theory is that Ray Epps, days after the attack, called an FBI tip line and said, actually, I did not incite this guy. I tried to calm him down. What you're seeing is me going up to this individual and saying, hey man, calm down. And that was corroborated by Ryan Samsel, the individual who attacked the barricade, who said, he came up to me and he said, dude, relax, the cops are doing their job. So, completely undercut. Just to summarize, everything Tucker is saying here is wrong. Ray Epps is not an FBI informant. He did not encourage this guy, Ryan Samsel, to charge the barricades. And in fact, there is evidence from Samsel himself that he was incited by the leader of the Proud Boys, a proudly pro-Trump right-wing movement. So again, Tucker's just asking questions. The problem is he doesn't like any of the answers. My old buddy Don Jr. You know, I'm not looking my best today. I'm a little tired. Might have taken a NyQuil at an inopportune time, but I don't know that the half zip does him any justice. It's not what I would do.
10 months of rioting, looting, arson, in-your-face type of politics. Candidly, whatever my father said on January 6th was mild in comparison. But if you were to take his speech and compare it to literally any stump speech ever given in the history of politics, you would see absolutely no deviation.
That's a big claim. No deviation from any stump speech ever given in the history of politics? Come on, Donnie.
But again, because the Democrats have the media in their pocket, carrying whatever message, they can go on with impeachment part deux, what they started before the original inauguration. They're just going to continue it.
The problem with this explanation from Don Jr. is you have interview after interview with individuals who stormed the Capitol who said, I did what I did because the president told me to. You know? Don is confused by a lot of things, but in this case, the facts are pretty clear. People who were there, people who stormed the Capitol, said they did so because Donald Trump told them to. It's because of the big lie. This whole suggestion that somehow the election was rigged, that it was stolen from Donald Trump, it incited these people to take violent action. And it wasn't just, you know, like working class folks who had economic anxiety who wanted Trump to be their president. No, it's the lady on the fucking private jet flies to DC to be part of this mob because Donald Trump told her to. Donald Trump himself.
Exactly how many of those present at the Capitol complex on January 6th were FBI confidential informants, agents, or otherwise working directly or indirectly?
Donald Trump sees something on Tucker and he thinks it's factual. It's just how it is.
With an agency of the United States government. People want to hear this. How about the one guy? Go in, get in there, everybody. Epps, get in there, go, go, go. Nothing happens to him. What happened with him? Nothing happens. Did any of these individuals play any role whatsoever in improving or facilitating the events at the Capitol?
Just blaming the FBI for the insurrection. It's remarkable. Back the blue, right?
That's what we want to know. And most importantly, why aren't they investigating November 3rd, a rigged and stolen election, without getting to the bottom of which we will never have a fair and free democracy? Why aren't they looking at that?
This is the most depressing part of this whole thing, which is the day of the insurrection, everybody knew that it was a horrific event. Everybody knew that it was a stain on our history. We see Mark Meadows' text, we see Don Jr., you know, freaking out. Everybody knew what was going on. They knew the reality of how horrible this was. Months later, it's just more incitement. It's all part of the big lie theory. He's learned nothing. He does not care that people died. He doesn't care that Ashley Babbitt was shot. He would rather use her as a martyr for his cause, for his lies, for his effort to get back in the White House. But the reality is there was no evidence of fraud that could have tipped the outcome of the election. States have looked at that, independent auditors, the news media. It's a baseless lie. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. But this is the only thing he cares about now. One of the things that makes America special and great is the fact that for centuries we have had peaceful transitions of power. From Republicans to Democrats, Democrats to Republicans. People have respected the office, they've respected the Constitution, they've respected our democracy. January 6th was the closest we've come to that not happening. That should have been a wake-up call to the entire country, to the entire MAGA movement, to the Republican Party. But what we saw was a lot of Republicans, like your Mitch McConnells and others, taking the path of least resistance and not really punishing Donald Trump for his actions politically and not really taking any kind of courageous stand to prevent this from happening again. And the impact will be felt for years because people who are radicalized by this day are winning positions of power in the Republican Party, and we don't know what they're going to do with that power.
We are armed and dangerous. This is the beginning
That was terrible. Thanks for watching. Please let us know what you want to get red-pilled by next time. And also, smash that subscribe button. Just like that, but on your computer.